Mould life cycle has 4 stages.
Mould life cycle has 4 stages.
Spore germination has 4 stages.
Spore germination,
Spore
germination,
spore
mould
hive
life cycle
formation,
has 4
spore
stages.
formation.
Mould life cycle
Firstly,
has
mold
four
needs
stages.
generations to grow. But
First,
germination,
first germination
is
is
high,
high, but not a lot.
Spore
But not a lot. If there is moisture, a spore, first, if they're both sides, formation is first stage integrate, but not first stage, just moisture, outside and inside. If they are both there, a land is spore, side, July, and again. If firstly forms the first stage outside, a land is spore starts to active, not aware. A land is spore germinates to take a land is fine, a land is spore starts to activate. By the time a land is germinates, it takes place find to take space, to take the millions of lives by the millions of time, by the time it is unified elsewhere, millions of years, matter is consumed on top. The matter is consumed more directly. A person lives a person does not get recognized, liberates towards other grounds, spores are created, liberate other grounds. A person does not get recognized, release the matter. There's a lot of mold around by all different and made for striving. A person does not get recognized and liberated. It used to see mold by food, but more attention by a person seems to be. A person does not get recognized or recognized or molding the head by striving in order to change the correct molding the house, molding the head. There's a lot of mold around. There's a lot of molding, striving, forming a confusion or molding skin. There's a lot of mold. There's a lot of mold. Molding the head is molding the head is the house. I saw a commercial yesterday and the song that stuck in my mind. I was silent yesterday and today I'm unable to speak. I read the news and it made me feel powerless. I feel unworked with my spirit. I read the news and it made me feel powerless. I saw commercials yesterday and they shared with I was shared with others and today they were silent. Today I got something whispered in my ear and it changed the rest of something in everything. I worked with my spirit in the system. I shared with others. I listened. They shared with others. Spores are everywhere. At every life and outside I shared with others. Everything can change. Spores are everywhere. Spores are everywhere. Everything in everything whispered in my ear. Mold, spores are everywhere. Everywhere, gliding outside and inside. Mold, spores are everywhere, gliding outside and inside. Spores are everywhere, gliding outside and inside. For the first time in a while. Mold. Everything inevitably reaches time to mold. Mold finds necessity to change.
Mold life cycle has 4 stages.
Spores are everywhere.
Spore formation, spore liberation.
Gliding.
Firstly, mold needs specific conditions to grow, but not a lot. Just moisture and
Outside and inside.
If they are both, a spore can settle. Size between a bacteria and a grain of sand. A landed spore starts to become an active form of life. It germinates and forms its first stage of being, a hypha, made to quickly divide and conquer space. By the time he sees it on the wall, millions of hives have grown and formed a mycelium, a communal board. Here, the matter is consumed at the top rate. Spores are created directly, liberated, released to find mold life cycle changes 4 stages. Spore germination, hive growth, spore formation, spore liberation. Firstly, mold needs specific conditions to grow, but not alone. Just moisture and organic matter. If there are both, there's a lot of mold around, all different sizes between the bacteria striving for change slowly. Gliding. I used to see mold as gentle insects, with more attention, more radical, not aware to be. In order to change conditions, in order to change the correct life cycle has to first pursuit to recognize itself as a hive. Spore germination, make to quickly grow, divide and conquer the spore formation, to take the spore, define direction, understand the surface. Firstly, mold needs specific. By the time you see the mold, not alone. The bathroom tiles are just moisture and organic. Millions of hives have grown and formed. If there are both, spore formation, spore separation. Outside the size, the matter is consumed specific conditions to grow, but not spores are created as moisture and organic liberated, released to find other grounds for change. Spore can settle. A landed spore starts to become an active form of life. A person eats. It germinates and forms outside its first stage of takes place. Finds order, recognizes what state understands. Land spore starts to become an active form of mold life cycle. It germinates and forms its first stage of piles. By the time it quickly divides small, spores are everywhere. Takes place. Find direction outside. There's no mold around all different types. Mold striving for change. A mold, the bathroom first moisture and mold. The millions of mold grow spores are created. Molding the head in order to change the release of molding the house in order to change correctly. Spores molding the skin in starts to change. The person does not recognize the condition forming the seed forms its first. The land spore starts to become an active mold. There are both large mold, the person does not get recognized. It's fatal to understand, but by food, it's find direction. There's a lot of mold. I saw commercials yesterday, and the song was I was silent yesterday at the time. There's a lot of mold. There's times this year, striving to change the divide and conquer space. I used to take this gentle release direction. The more I shared with others, and they listen, they shared with others, molding the head in order to change the space, in order to change, molding the house in order to change the correct way. Millions of hives, molding its skin in pursuit to recognize itself as a hive, as a hypha, forming a mycelium, a communal. Here, the matter is consumed at the top rate. Spores are created directly, liberated, released to find other grounds for change. Mold. A person sleeps. A person works. A person does not get recognized but gets paid a little and can buy food. A person eats. A person sleeps. A person works again. There's a lot of mold around, all different kinds, striving for change slowly. I used to see mold as gentle resistance, but more I pay attention, more radical it seems to be. Molding the head in order to change its condition. Molding the house in order to change the correct way to live. First time molding its skin in pursuit to recognize itself as a hypha. Forming a mycelium, a communal bond. Molding the head finds necessity to change. Spores are everywhere. The house, outside and inside. Molding the skin. I saw a commercial yesterday, and the song got stuck in my head. Forming a mycelium, a communal body. The matter is consumed at the top powerless. Spores are created directly, liberated, released to find other grounds for change. Listen, they share with others. I whispered something in your ear and it changed your day. I got something whispered in my ear and it changed recognized. It gets paid a little, and can buy food. Person eats, person sleeps. Everything inevitably reaches time to solve commercial necessity to change. And the song is stuck in my life. Outside and inside for change. Was silent yesterday, unable molding the head in order to change its condition. Molding the house in order to change the correctness. Molding its skin in pursuit to recognize as a hypha. Mold. I shared with others and they listened. They shared with others that listened. I was silent yesterday. I was something unable to share with my attention. I read the news. I saw commercial few hours. There's a lot of ways to speak all different orders. I read the news. This morning I worked with my friends and but more I pay attention, more radical it seems to be. They share with others in order to change in order to change the correct way. I got something whispered in my ear and in pursuit to recognize myself as I got something whispered in my ear are everywhere. I saw gliding. Everything inevitably outside and inside finds necessity to change. Spores are everywhere, gliding outside and inside. Molding the head. Everything inevitably reaches time. Mold finds necessity to change the house. Spores are everywhere, gliding outside and inside. Mold. This morning everything inevitably gets mold. Everything inevitably reaches. Spores are everywhere, gliding finds necessity outside and inside. Spores are everywhere, gliding outside and inside. Mold.
Mold, 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 mold. Mold, 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 mold. Mold, 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 mold. I saw a commercial yesterday and the song got stuck in my head. I was silent yesterday and today I feel unable to speak. I read the news and it made me feel powerless. I worked with my spirit in the system that kills. I shared with others and they listened. They shared with others that listened to them. I whispered something in your ear and it changed your day. I got something whispered in my ear and it changed the way I see blue. This morning I
Lighting,
woke
outside and
up
inside,
calm
just
for
being,
the
not aware.
first
Mold life
time in
cycle
my
has 4
life.
stages. Spore germination, hive growth, spore formation, spore to take space, liberation.
Find direction, understand the surface.
Find
Mold life
mold
cycle
has
change.
spore germination,
Spore germination,
hive growth,
everywhere.
spore formation, spore liberation, spore
Gliding.
liberation.
A person eats, firstly mold
A
person does not get recognized,
but not a lot.
Just moisture,
and organic.
Mold,
If they are both,
mold,
a spore can settle.
spore
Mold,
can
size
settle.
between
Mold,
size between
mold,
a bacteria and a grain of
mold,
sand.
mold, mold,
Outside and
mold,
inside,
mold,
just
mold,
being.
mold,
A landed spore
mold,
starts to become an active form of
mold,
life. A landed
mold,
germinates starts to
mold,
become an active
mold,
form of
mold.
life. Its first stage of being
It germinates
mold,
in the
maybe to quickly survive, maybe to quickly survive and
mold.
conquer the space.
May to
Everything
quickly
vital
mold,
reaches
mold,
space, to take space,
mold,
find direction. By the time
mold,
pieces on the walls,
mold,
by the time
mold,
millions of
mold,
hive
mold,
grown to
mold,
a communal body. Millions of hive here
mold,
the matter is consumed. Here the matter is consumed
mold,
at the top.
mold,
Spores are created direct, liberated. Here the
mold,
matter is
mold,
consumed at the
mold,
top. Other grounds for change.
mold,
Spores are created directly,
mold,
liberated, released to
mold,
find other
mold,
grounds for
mold,
change.
mold, 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 mold,
A person eats.
mold, 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 mold,
A person
mold.
wears. There's a lot of
Person does not
there's a lot of
recognize
mold
that
gets
it's
paid a little,
all
different,
different.
striving for
Mold,
change,
mold,
striving for change
mold,
slowly.
mold.
I used to see mold as gentle. I
Mold,
used to see mold as
mold,
gentle. More I pay
mold,
attention, more radical.
more I
it
pay
seems to be,
attention,
more radical it
mold,
seems to be.
mold.
In order to change its condition. In order to change its condition. In order to
There's
change
a lot of
mold
mold
around. All different. Mold life cycle has in pursuit to recognize itself as a hypha, a communal body. Just spore germination,
The correct
hive
mold,
growth,
mold,
and spore
mold,
formation.
mold.
Spore
Striving
in
for
pursuit
change,
to recognize
mold,
itself as a
mold,
hypha.
mold
Needs specific conditions.
I
to
used
grow.
to see
mold
mold
as gentle,
mold,
resist
mold.
moisture and organic.
But more I pay
Mold,
attention,
they're
mold,
radical.
mold,
A spore can
mold.
settle.
Mold,
Size,
molding the
mold,
head
mold.
in order to change
Mold,
its
mold,
condition.
mold.
Molding the house
Mold,
in order
mold,
to change
mold
the
life cycle has
correct
4
way to
stages.
live.
A landed
Mold,
spore germination starts to become an
molding
active
its
form
skin
formation spore.
in
It
pursuit to
germinates and
recognize
forms its
itself
first
as a
mold needs
hypha.
condition to grow, but not a lot. Made to
Torture
transform
and
and conquer the
mycelium,
space. If they are
a
both, a spore can
communal
settle.
body.
So little. Size by the time
Mold
life
life
cycle has 4
mold,
stages.
mold,
Gliding, spore germination,
mold,
outside,
mold,
hive growth, and forms a
mold,
spore formation,
mold,
a communal spore.
Mold, mold,
A landed spore
mold,
starts to become
mold,
active. Mold needs specific
mold,
conditions to
mold,
grow.
mold,
Its life
mold,
source is
mold,
outside and inside.
mold,
This morning,
mold,
everything
mold,
is reaches
mold,
size,
mold,
find
mold,
direction
mold,
to change.
mold,
Understand
mold,
spores are
mold,
everywhere.
mold,
Outside and
mold,
inside.
mold,
By the time
mold,
just
mold,
stuck in
mold,
spores are
mold,
everywhere.
mold,
Find
mold,
direction.
mold,
Outside and
mold,
spores start to
mold,
higher.
mold,
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 mold.
mold,
And
mold,
today,
mold,
there's a lot of
mold,
hives
mold,
around here.
mold,
Because the matter
mold,
makes
mold,
find
mold,
divide.
I read the news and it takes
regular
regular
time.
mold,
Understand
mold,
other grounds for change. function more radically. By the time we see the first person that can hide by the person elsewhere, there's millions of shadows for this work that get recognized, but your situation gets recognized, but matter is consumed. There's a lot of mold around. These stores are creating, striving for change. There's a lot of mold around, molding the head in order to change molding the house in order to change the correct resistance, molding it more intense, more recognized, hide a little, forming the head in order to change the correct condition, molding the house in order to change the correct beliefs, forming the style, there's a lot of mold, there's a lot of mold, commercial trying different change styles, mold was silent yesterday, and today mold is every mold out yesterday, every mold is the head in order to change, it's silent yesterday, mold is out yesterday, change the correct doesn't get recognized, but it's changing the change, the life will recognize themselves, I already knew mold, how to share mold, sports are everywhere. The song of sex in the skin. I was silent yesterday and today. Mold are everywhere. Mold outside of mold. Everything in network mold. My sensitive change. I share with others. And they listen to everyone other items to them. Outside of mold. Everything in network mold. If I immerse in yesterday, songs of sports are everywhere. Silent mold. I read everything and it made me feel powerless. I worked with my spiritual aspects of change. I shared with others everywhere. Listening. They shared with others. Spores are everywhere. Finds necessity to change. Spores are everywhere. Gliding outside and inside.
How many of us has to say it for it to change?